Hello, how are you? So in this video we'll be doing a redraw of something from my old sketchbook. Now I have 29 sketchbooks in total. Well, not really in total, I have like 2 more that are outside the... no, 3 more. It's a complicated thing, but I have 29 sketchbooks. Plus free ones, I guess. And I wanted to redraw something from an old sketchbook, and I started thinking of what could I redraw. And I fell onto Sketchbook 8 2.0. I had to censor this. I love this. During this era, I was drawing Surimo a lot, and last video I realized that I have not drawn Surimo in 3 years. So here we have an old little drawing. The foot is wrong, but it looks cute. Yeah. Okay then. I have this little sketchbook right here of donuts. Really cute and whatnot. I decided to redraw this drawing from Inktober, Hauntober specifically, which was from Huion, 30th of September of 2020. I decided to redraw this. I think that this is Cemetery, the third entry of this. And I don't know, this drawing has been in my head for a while now, and I decided that I could redraw this and make it better. So that's what we'll be getting into today. I guess that for this we might as well go back to my sketchbook 29, right? And do the same thing I did here, but here. So let's get into that, I guess. I think I will actually lose it. Anyways, don't mind me. Video editing just isn't easy, okay? So, just like in 2020, I decided to go for a traditional sketch, right? Because back in 2020, as you saw, I had made a sketch. I used to draw my sketchbook for it. And then I'd color it in digitally, and later on you will see the digital version of that drawing. I will later on explain more about that, but here I was just trying to get the concept down. I decided not to go for the same concept, well, not exactly the same concept as I did back in 2020. I decided to, I don't know, I just had a different vision for it. I had imagined like Surimo being like sort of closer to the viewer, and instead of being full body, just thighs up, and well, more knees up than anything. And I thought of changing up the background a bit, because the background back then, sure, it looks cute and whatnot, but I had a different vision this time with less tombs, I guess, but still like sort of that stuff with like tombs and like crosses in the back. Very scary gothic things going on. I did not draw the background in completely traditionally. I decided not to sketch the whole thing in, because even though you will see me sketch things, I will erase it and I will later on like draw the right idea that I've had digitally, because I knew I would get a better grasp for it if I just did it digitally. More so than traditionally, it would look a bit too wonky, and sure, I wanted it to have like a sort of very natural and raw look to it, very like hand-drawn, which is what it is, right? I'm not using a machine or anything. I don't even know how I would do that, but I think that it looks just like I wanted it to. And as you can see, I do a basic sketch, and then I sketch the thing with my mechanical pencil, because the graphite in this mechanical pencil is really dark, like holy fuck. It's great for doing line art, so that's what I usually use it for. Very bad for it to have mistakes in it, because then you cannot fix those easily. I said all of that wrong, but I just decided that I will say fuck it and just roll with it, because I'm so tired. You guys, I'm so tired. Anyways. Later on I will talk about some changes that I've made. Also, I don't know, I'm just tired, I guess. Look, I don't have anything else to say, okay? I'm just suffering. I don't know. So here you will see me doing a drawing and digitalizing it, right? The drawing. Anyways, you can see there the drawing right there on the side there. The drawing of 2020 realized I used to do the same thing that I do nowadays back then. If you're wondering how I color in these sketches digitally, I have a video on that. A sort of tutorial of some sort, I guess. If you can understand what I'm saying, then you can follow along. And if not, I'm very sorry that I am not good enough at explaining myself. Anyways, I do the same thing as always. I put the image of my drawing over every single layer, put in a multiply, and every single layer that I do for colors I put below that one. I wanted to keep the same concept of having the same values and following the same colors, but instead of like actually coloring it in, I decided to go for grayscale because I just wasn't really feeling like the whole colors and sort of stuff. So I decided to go the easy route and do grayscales to figure out the values of my illustration, and later on applied a gradient map on top of that to add the colors that I want, which are purple and red, which is the colors that I used in the first drawing, and I still like those, so I might as well use them, right? The only thing I changed, I don't really think I made that in the old drawing. I am unsure of that. If I look at the drawing, I wouldn't really notice that sort of stuff. Is that instead of just adding the backlighting from the moon, I decided to add a soft light coming from the front of Serimo, and that would differentiate a little bit and like bring her out a bit more. Because if I just went with the full-on dark shading on her, it would make her blend in a bit too much with the tombs, because I was already following a specific color palette for the whole illustration. So that was going to be messy, and I decided to do that to bring out a bit of the character and her counterparts, and no, the objects that are like beside her. Because if you didn't notice, the tombs in the back, which are farther away from her, actually are darker and more blurred out than the rest that is closer to her, because you don't really need to see those details, and it adds a bit of depth. I can speak. It adds a bit of depth to the illustration. Okay, so for the drawing of 2020, I was following the whole Hontober thing, right? And I remember there was a sort of story to the whole illustrations that I was making. I was trying to give like Serima background, and I used the whole list as an inspiration to come up with that. And I don't fully remember it, but I can recount some stuff. First of all, I know that it was supposed to be her coming back from something and getting horrible news that someone close to her died, which is the person on the tomb there that she's looking at. Which, guess what? It's Von Henry, this guy right here. Nowadays, he is alive and well, plus he's an angel, and I give the angels, pure angels, very bird-like features. And he is a psychiatrist and psychologist and the right-hand man of the president, together with Demovie, who's the left-hand man of the president, who is a doctor. So that's cool. Like, they're both sort of in the medical field, are psychologists and psychiatrists. I mean, psychiatrists, sure, right? They give medication, but are psychologists? I don't know, I never went to one. Maybe I should. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, back then, I don't even know what he was supposed to be. I know that he still held the same sort of story that he does now, which... should I spoil that? I mean, is it really a spoiler? I won't share the story anywhere, so I might as well, right? So I don't really know exactly how to tell you this, but God sort of sends him down there to keep an eye on the president, because both of them did horrible things and betrayed God in a certain way. So God was like, well, fuck you too, I guess. So you can stay there. God in the story isn't any god from real life. It's their own being, like their own god, so take that as you will. He was the same back then, and at some point he died, and Serena was very sad. I knew that he would come back to life, but anyways, she meets up with a doctor who is very suspicious and gets mad at him for some reason, which I don't remember exactly. But then they have a fight, and she goes back home, and then she like changes into a normal outfit, and then she looks like in the bathroom and realizes that like something is very wrong. I remember that this whole thing was very metaphorical, so even I, who made this thing, I don't know what's going on exactly. Then she would run away, and start getting followed by this figure, and oh my god, it's so secretive. Guess who it is? That's right, Selena. And I don't remember exactly how the story ended, but I know that was it. I remember also back then, Surima was sort of undead. She had died, and then the president had made a pact with the devil to bring her back to life and whatnot. Nowadays she's fine. She's also alive. I don't know why I wanted to kill my character so badly. But sure. I also know that back then, her legs were really long, like holy fuck. Those are some long legs, and I know why. That it was on purpose. Because, I don't know if I mentioned this last video, but I know that I mentioned it at some point, I just don't know in which video it was. There was at some point in my life, like, people saw me drawing, because I just did draw in public, despite not liking when people watched me draw. And then, people would ask me like, oh! You're drawing anime, right? Ah, you're drawing anime right now? You're drawing anime! Oh my god, that's so cool! You're drawing anime, right? And at some point I just got tired of it and I just couldn't take it anymore. And 2020 was the year for that, so I decided to change things up and I was like, well, fuck anime, I guess. I'll just go for normal Western cartoon styles mixed in with whatever and just follow that. And that's how I ended with that art style in 2020, which honestly looks worse than my art from 2019 and all the way back. But still better than 2016 because 2016 had coconut chests. So that's how I ended up with long legs here. Mommy long legs, Surima. Anyways, I know that like in 2022 I just went back to my usual anime art style because it's what I like to do and it just brings me joy and I'm better at drawing that than anything else. Honestly, plot twist, completely unrelated. Today I drew realism, so that's cool. I'm trying, guys. Anyways, completely out of topic that was. Why am I speaking like that? The fuck's my issue? Sorry. So, Surima's hair nowadays got shorter. I changed her design up, despite wanting to follow like the same color scheme and the same concept, sort of, even though it's not a full body illustration. I still maintained Surima in the graves, looking distressed. This time, she has flowers with her because, well, you gotta go to the cemetery to at least leave some flowers, right? Or not, I don't know. You could just hang out there. I do that from time to time. But we don't talk about it. And she's looking around, the tombs are very dark, and the moon is there, and there are branches sort of reaching towards the moon to like sort of make the focus go from the moon to Rimu, and then you can look around if you want to, which I guess you decide if you want to or not. I changed 3 things up. First one being her hair length. I wanted it to be shorter because nowadays I have, well, does she really count? I don't know. I know that when she is younger, this girl right here, she has very long hair, exactly like Surimu in the old illustration. Dude, this is the second time recording and you come back. Jesus Christ. I didn't want them to be confused. I sort of want them to look sort of different from one from the other, right? I have many OCs with long hair and I need more OCs with short hair, I guess. So she, in the past, has like very long hair, which is also wavy, just like Surimu does. So I wanted to change that up so that they aren't very much confusing with one another. Also, it makes Surimu look more like Cyrelia Sorrow, which is her grandma, and since they all have one family line, right? Since her father got the genes from Cyrelia and while he reproduces on his own, there's only one place that Surimu could get her genes from, right? So she has to look like Cyrelia as well, even though the other kids from the president don't. And that's the question, why don't they? Anyways, 2. I changed her skirt from a normal schoolgirl skirt. I still can't say this word. Oh my god. What the fuck is my... Okay, breathe in. I changed her normal schoolgirl skirt to a pencil skirt just to make her look a bit more mature because I want her to be older and more mature. Despite knowing that in the 2020 version, I know that she was supposed to be a schoolgirl. She was supposed to be young because it's supposed to be her backstory of how she got to be how she was, but Surimu's older in general in this newer version that I have of her in my head, so it made more sense to like make her older, I guess. 3. She doesn't have white skin anymore. I removed that in 2022, which was also the last time that I drew her, and just decided to go with normal skin tone. So I guess that's it. I did make a mistake, obviously. You can never be happy, right, with whatever you make. The good thing is when you look critically at your own drawings, you can improve next time. I made a mistake, which is I used the gradient maps, which usually makes the colors look a bit more muted and more realistic in a sense, because it doesn't change the actual values of the illustration and just adds color to it with the same value that you put down, which is also why I felt like doing this so that I didn't have to actually choose like the whole thing that was going on, right? But I did add like the shading to Surimu with a bit too much vibrancy and too much saturation. And unfortunately, that doesn't look good in this case because it just looks a bit out of place. Like, sure, later on I added like a bunch of overlays with a bunch of colors the same way that I usually do, and added like textures, and I think that brought a bit more harmony to the whole illustration, but I still think it looks a bit too out of place. Anyways, I don't think I recorded the texture part because I don't want to record that, and you know how I did it. I have many other videos that show that, so... Here is the finished illustration. If I figure out how to put it here, because I still don't know how to use Davinci correctly. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this. I think I improved overall. Obviously, if I didn't, that would be very sad. But I draw a lot faster and a lot more expressive. Maybe? Question mark? Question mark? I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a nice day and night as always, right? Bye! This time I hope that I actually recorded the audio to this because I don't want to record this again.